Good evening and welcome to Bitcoiners United. You have heard of Fiat Food, and many of you fellow Bitcoiners are keen on base principles that promote humanity and the quality of your life and your time. Well, I have Francine Coudre, Mulberry Tree. We're going to discuss something core to every human on the planet. She's got a busy farm at home, so you might hear some activity. She has a site, Mulberry Tree, which I have here. Oh, I got to bring up my little. Yeah, there we go. I downloaded the app Mulberry Tree. You can get it on the iPhone or Android. It is a culinary companion, a farm to fork recipe app that also allows you to buy ingredients directly from farmers or from the grocery store, and you can know your farmer, know your food. So Mulberry Tree celebrates and supports sustainable practices. It nurtures both the planet and its people. You can access recipes, join a food and culinary community, connect with suppliers, chefs, personalities, while you source fresh, sustainable ingredients, and it allows you to celebrate diverse quality food. You can go to Mulberry Tree IO. We'll bring it up here later. Francine, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm excited.
Tell me about your farm and farm life at home. You've had some activity lately, and what's been going on lately?
Yeah, so my husband and I moved from Oregon all the way down to the Ozarks in Arkansas right before COVID hit. And we bought a 21-acre farm. We have almost 30 goats now. We have 2 donkeys. I think like 40 bunnies now. At one time we had over 300 birds. That was really crazy. Bird math happened.
Like birds for meat and eggs, or both?
And to get rid of ticks. We had a really bad tick infestation on our farm because they did not do regenerative farming and lots of spraying. And so we've been fixing our soil. And when people do that, it just explodes the tick population, unfortunately. And so now we don't get ticks on us, which is nice. We had ducks, we had chickens, we had quail. Our population's dwindled just because of the predators, and there's been a lot of droughts. So we're going to be building up our supply again this spring. So we just had a bunch of babies recently because we had the crazy snowstorm. It was supposed to be like the apocalypse of snows, but thankfully we only got 4 inches. They're predicting 18. It's been chilly, but we just had one goat give birth to triplets, and we had another one give birth to 2, and we had one in the house, a model baby, and about to give birth any day myself for our 4th child. So
boy, fun.
Yeah, we're very busy. And we have 5 dogs, and yeah, lots of fun. The kids love it. It's exciting. Way better than living in the city. So
yeah. So you felt like you kind of escaped urban life, got away to some acreage. I went through that myself. I lived in Seattle years ago. And after so many years Seattle was a nicer city. It's changed over the years, but it's a city. And to try to afford a house, let alone have any land or space, or have what kind of a commute to work, and then what kind of work you're going to find. And I felt like I had to get away. Like on a weekend would come, and it's like, I got to get away. And then after a while, it's like, why don't I just find a place where I can live where I want to be? And then if I want to visit a city, if I had to, I could. But life on farm, even if it's a little funny farm, just the pace and everything, you feel like you can connect. You're connecting with the pace of the earth, of life, perhaps as it should be, that we miss.
Yeah, I fully agree. We actually lived in Eugene, and I lived in Portland for a while. I used to be a fashion designer before I became a stay-at-home mom. I worked for USA-made manufacturing companies. I did wildland firefighting uniforms. Everything was in the U.S., all the fabric, thread, our zippers, everything. And I was the assistant designer there. And it just became so unaffordable in Eugene, and we wanted to live outside and buy a farm. It's just not possible, and Oregon is becoming very anti-farm, unfortunately. So that was a huge reason why we moved down here, because there's a lot more freedom. And we always left every weekend. We'd always go hiking. We'd go out to farms. We'd go buy raw milk at the local dairy, goat farms and stuff like that, and the farmers market every weekend. Just doing what we could to support local farmers, and we just watched tons of regenerative farming, and what's what we want to do. And farming experience is very exciting. It was very people to move across the country with small children.
Oh, just let you know, your audio's cutting out a little bit. You might need, whatever your mic is, you might need to get closer to the mic.
Is that better?
There, that works, yeah.
Okay, yeah, it was very intense, and we moved right when the brink of COVID happened, so it was really crazy, but it was all worth
Good time
it.
to get away.
Yeah, it was a really good time, especially how bad Oregon was during the whole ordeal, and we were very fortunate what we got, and especially because Holiday is becoming very affordable now for a lot of people, so we got in at a good time.
Yeah, I'm in Oregon as well, and it was a special time. Oregon is like a special state, and I work in the public sector, and so you see how the legislature works and the laws that come down, and Oregon likes to do things special. So when COVID hit, things were kind of special. I had friends and coworkers in adjacent spaces to mine that were facing pressures of all kinds, like you lose your job if you don't do all the right things. Some of them did. Some of them kept them, but had to compromise their personal integrity, their beliefs, their health, perhaps. And I narrowly avoided all that, but I had to think in my head, like, where do I draw my line with my body, my choice, right? So weird time, but I think have gotten through that, I would hope. And then I hope in hindsight, one, I think COVID woke a lot of people up in a way to be like, that just happened. And then in hindsight, maybe we don't do the same thing ever again. So.
Yeah, I really hope so. And it really put into perspective how fragile our food security is in our country. And a lot of people, like we were aware, that's why we wanted to buy a farm. But a lot of people became aware of that, how just the whole chain of commands of like, it just was so frazzled and people weren't being able to get what they normally could get every day. They would go to the store and, you know, it really led us to why we created what we created. I honestly, it was really funny though. I had a dream about the app and I woke up and had a vision of it and I really feel like it was from God. So if that sounds crazy, I'm sorry.
That's a lot of creation flows through us, not like we just rationalize it. It comes.
Yeah, it does. And then I went to my husband and I explained to him, I was like, he works from home, thankfully. And I was like, we have to build this app. I don't know anything about building an app, but I'll figure it out. And we have to do this. Like, I really feel like God is wanting me and us to do this for our community, for our country. And he's like, all right, let's try, let's figure it out. And he's such a go-getter. It's awesome. He's very big on building dreams and
awesome.
Business. And yeah, he's my builder. I love it. And so anyways, it's a farm to fork recipe app, and I wanted to bring a community back together that has been so fractured in our country, so polarized, and people used to get together despite their beliefs and break bread. And they would come together and feast and, have a resolution and just put it aside and, become whole again. And that was the thing. People used to, before supermarkets, they would go to their local farmer, the markets, buy their food, and there would be chefs who would give them the recipes so they know how to cook it, and then everyone would enjoy it as a food enthusiast. And so it's like bringing back old traditions with a modern twist. And I'm hoping this will be the solution for our Fiat Food. And we're against fiat currency as well, with whole Federal Reserve shenanigans.
Yeah.
Why I'm into crypto too.
Right.
And but yeah, and so it's taken 2 years. We had some hiccups, unfortunately, but I felt like it was God's timing, and it led us to a better path, better people to create our app for us and help me design them. And I'm very excited because we finally got it launched this month, and the positivity behind it and people rallying behind it is very exciting, and it feels very it's not forced, but it's like grassroots. And we're building the roots and the foundation. And it was interesting too, because Mulberry Tree, the name came to me as well in the dream. And
I was going to ask you about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, and people were like, "Oh, did you know the Tree of Liberty is actually the mulberry tree?" And I was like, "I had no idea. That's so amazing." And I was like, "That's really like funny too, because like, you know, we're very liberty, freedom-seeking people." And the mulberry tree is really fascinating because there is enough fruit for the animals, for the environment, because it has to fall down and replenish the soil, and also for people to take for their own community to eat. And that's what we feel that our app represents, is that it is for us, for our community, and for itself to build this amazing thing we're going to change our country with. Because people are tired of going to the grocery store and being ripped off. Like, there's a bunch of threads today that people are shrinkflation. They're measuring their meat, and it's supposed to be 5 pounds, and it's 3 pounds. That's theft. And it's like, if we steal from the stores, we get in trouble, but they're stealing from us blindly all the time. All these middlemen, all these meat company factories, they're price fixing, and they just get a slap on their wrist. They're trafficking children. Most people aren't even aware of that. Trafficking illegal children, forcing them to work in dangerous, hazardous conditions. And they just get a slap on their wrist because, well, they did not hire them personally. It was subsidized from another company. And these are the people who are supplying our food. It's absolutely horrendous. And that's why we also promote the Prime Act, so people can be able to go without these USDA facilities, which are corrupted, go to a local US state sanctioned butcher and slaughterhouses, and they can sell their meat directly to consumers. There are some states who are getting on board with this. There's more states who are allowing raw milk. You know, well, Florida is like, "Oh, we just tested 96 candies and they're full of arsenic." But they're like, you can't choose what you want to eat from your farmer. It's absolutely absurd. Like, if I poison somebody, I can go to prison, but these companies are poisoning our children, and they're just like, "Oh, well." And that's another reason why we're like, you got to know your farmer, know your food. It's that simple.
Right.
And so
you can get a packaged in plastic hot dog, and you don't want to know how that was made, when that's all fine and dandy. But you know, local farmer markets, like I think of, you know, like what Joel Salatin went through with Polyface Farms, you know, beginning years ago, but just wanting to neighbor, like, I've got a totally clean, perfect, careful, homegrown, you know, milk, meat, eggs, whatever, and I want to sell to them. And the local, whether it was, you know, health department or FDA or whatever, start getting involved and saying, you got to do all this stuff that the lobbyists have made super complicated and expensive, so really you just can't do it. Sorry. And he's like, so you're telling me that factory farm or those factory processes are fine because they just pay for the things and do it en masse, and you know how dirty that is, or whatever they got going on. But I can't take these chickens here with these eggs here, do all the right things, and sell them to my neighbor? Yeah, it was messed up and broken. So
it is. We are losing 77 farms in the U.S. a day. 77.
Oh my goodness.
It's terrifying. And if you know about history and like when they start attacking the farms, it's not good. Like, you know, it's communism takeover, and you don't want the government to control the farming industry, which is what they're trying to do. And like all of them are like, we have to, you know, bail out all these big agricultures who are not growing food. They're growing chemical sludge, and it's hurting everybody. And they're spraying glyphosate on everything, and they're trying to get the immunity on glyphosate, which, you know, is causing cancer supposedly for legal reasons. I'm saying that, you know, and they use it to dry out all of our food. They're spraying on it, and that kills your gut biome. It makes people sick, and it's like, it's absolutely insane, you know. And the pushback against regenerative farming, which is like, you don't grow food, you grow soil. You know, if there's no health in your soil, there's not going to be health in your food. You're not going to have the nutrients. You know, and you can taste the difference when you get a local tomato from a local farmer grown yourself, and how delicious and mouthwatering it is. And then you go to the store, it tastes like nothing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I know that the seasonality of things can be tough too, where you want some certain kind of fruit in the winter that they had to pick green and ship a long ways and freeze or whatever, and you get it, and it's like I shouldn't even like. I know it's better than some things, but it's not the same. And some food is seasonal.
Yeah.
Real quick, Sweet Biddy says here, "Yay and hello," and that you have
Hello, Sweetie. Thank you.
the coolest app, the best message, and what the U.S. needs more of to make food great again. Which yes, we do. We need good food. I want to throw to stage real quick here. You have your website here, so tell me about you had the inspiration, the vision, but then people come up with ideas, but then doing it is all that work.
Yeah.
Making the apps, and you didn't necessarily have a background in making software or apps. So how did you do that?
So I, a horrible story. When I said hiccups, I actually hired a friend to build the app, and he ended up stealing a bunch of money from us, and it was very heartbreaking. And he said he was an app developer. And he lied, and that was a very strenuous time because we were dealing with some very serious issues with our son's health, and he was like at the brink of dying, and it was just gut wrenching. And our son's thankfully better, and he still has some hiccups with his health, and that's another reason why we moved to a farm too, to help him. And yeah, and so that made me want to give up, but I was like, we've already invested so much money into doing this. We've already paid lawyers. We already have all of that taken care of, and we managed to squeeze the rest of our finances to continue moving forward. Found some really great developers, and told them what I wanted, and we've just been building it since that incident happened, and got this all taken care of, and just did not give up, because that's a lot of problems. When people have an idea, they face tribulations, which everyone does when you start. The point is, it's just pushing through and not giving up. And I've already had a similar situation happen when I was a fashion designer. I ended up getting cancer when I was 18, and I had a full ride to college. This was when I was in Portland, and I already knew everybody who you need to know, like Todd Fultz for Portland Fashion Week, if you know about that.
Okay, I've heard of that, yep.
I had my first fashion show with him at 23, after coming back and defeating cancer. And I was supposed to have kids, and I have kids now. It's a blessing. We're about to have our fourth. And so I have that personality where even if bad things happen, I don't believe in giving up, and even how bad they are, because it's like, okay, that's one way not to do it. And like I said, we're self-funded, we're farmer-owned. We don't have any backers or anything like that, and we're grassroots. And I just kept going, and we launched this January through Apple and Google, and they approved us immediately, which is, especially with Apple, they're very hard to get through, so I was very excited. They approved us immediately. I just worked with people, told them my visions, and I was like, because I have a background in fashion and design, so I was like, this is what I want it to look like. And I would draw sketches and help things, and then they would fine tune things for me. So
very nice. It looks crisp and clean. I just got the app here actually, and just looking at it, yeah. So you can. It's also it's not just sourcing food and finding recipes, but there, as the community grows, there are people you can connect with.
Yeah. It's also a social media platform. There's a lot to it. And like when you launch an app, it's called an MVP. You just have the basic form of the app. But I really wanted to push ourselves and really wow people with the app, and we're going to be building a lot more onto it. So as of now, we have all the recipes. I'm adding recipes daily on there. And then with it, like for an apple pie, you see the ingredients, and then you can order ingredients, and there'll be a new screen that says buy from farmer or buy from grocery store. Instacart, when we applied to them to see if they wanted to partner with us, approved us immediately. They loved our idea, and they're super excited.
Awesome.
We're building up some couple things before we implement Instacart into it. And then we're having all the farmers sign up so in our area, and then they can sell them locally. And the best part is because so many other websites who promote local eating, they charge the farmers. They're like, you have to pay us to list your products because we have to make money. Farming is the most important job. If there's no farmers, there's no food. We all die. We don't eat.
Right. Yeah.
And there's no middleman. And so farmers can list their products without a listing fee. And so they can sell directly to them and ship it. And if they want to get verified, it's $9.99 a month. And that just gives people more security. They feel like, okay, this farm, they're verified, they pay, or a year subscription of $9.99. You get like, a month or 2 months off. And then you have the food enthusiasts, and they can buy and from the farmers or the chefs. And then the chefs and the farmers, they also can make recipes, which is really cool too. So because some farmers like to make recipes for the food they grow or raise. And then chefs, they get to make their recipes, and they also can do courses. And we're going to be expanding the courses in the future to have videos and like live streaming so people can pay the farmers or chefs, okay, I want to learn how to do this, like souffle, and they can watch the video and do that. And we kind of like learning courses within the app. Same with farming, so people can teach regenerative farming and gardening, canning, all those things. We have courses already preloaded on the app to teach people the basics because so many people don't know the basic skills anymore. They weren't passed down from generations, unfortunately. And so we're trying to bring back this massive community. There's so many problems in our country around food and these connections. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna solve all of them in one app, but make it beautiful and seductive. So people are like, this is a nice app, I wanna stay on it, and it's not.
Yeah.
So many apps are they're garbage looking today. There's no beauty today. And beauty creates intellect, I believe, and creativity. Just like it funnels like I have color in my house. Like I like creativity.
You have an eye for design, clearly. Also
Yes.
and fashion and style, but that translates to design and everything.
Yeah, and like with our app too, like a lot of people don't like the white screen. They like dark screen, the dark mode. But I made our app with the white screen with like a yellow tint on it, so it's not as hard as on your eyes too. So,
The farms are barking.
Yeah. But yeah, and then we're also Luna, come here, Luna. Come here. You're fine. Come here. Sorry.
Life on a farm. Well, and I see here on the app, you can kind of pick your profile. So like, are you a food enthusiast, a consumer? Are you a chef? You may be more focused on like recipes and sharing your skills. Or are you a farmer where you have ingredients, food, sourcing, and you can pick that profile. So you might have an orientation on how you use it, but that's not to say that you can't use all of it however you want. Yeah.
Yeah, and then also too, once we can get going more people are using it, a lot of people aren't aware of it. If you pay to, you get more features on the app. And so like if you're a chef or if you're a farmer and you upload recipes, you actually get points within the system, and those points you can redeem for gift cards for food. And then we're eventually going to be able to have like coupons for local farmers if they sign up, so that you can like use those that like as a voucher and stuff. And then also if you're a food enthusiast, this also incentivizes people to cook again, because most people who are Zoomers and younger, they don't know how to cook.
Mm-hmm.
So it's incentivizing them every time they make something, they upload, like they make the apple pie, they take a picture of the apple pie, they upload it within the app, and then it gets approved by our community. And it says, okay, yes, they made the apple pie from the recipe, and then they gain points within the system, and they can buy gift cards for food too.
Awesome. And a lot of things in our life, this is my little aside, but I feel like we're often kind of funneled into these kind of transactional, like life is a legible business around all of us, as opposed to the relationship aspect of things. Mm-hmm. And when people talk about their health or their diet or all the things, whether it's like science or kind of the the business of it, we're kind of funneled into these transactional modes where we're looking at the symptoms and we're looking at the pills and we're looking at um, the the, uh, the nutrient list on the side of the box and all these things. And so people often fail when it comes to, well, I'm going to do a diet. I'm going to go on a diet. And it becomes kind of like too procedural, too transactional, or follow rules. And then you fail because it feels the whole process is still kind of like transactional and feels like work, as opposed to if it's more intrinsically like a relationship. Like I think a lot of people have a challenge with food, not just because they don't see a lot of good options, but also they have a poor relationship with food or with eating or with their hunger. And we're used to fast, cheap, and easy. What's quick, a lot of Bitcoiners or techies or busy people, like you get busy and you don't make time for sometimes the most important stuff. So you're busy, and then you're just looking for a fix. I just need a fix so I can get back to like production on the assembly line. And we lose sight of that connection, I think, or the flow and healthy bit of it, because there's not a relationship happening there, or we don't take the appropriate time. It'd be like if your body was something you cared about, like you care about your kids. Well, it takes planning and thought and time and deliberation. Like you have to be deliberate about this stuff and take time with it, as opposed to, well, I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to do that. And next thing you know, your outcome is a canned product versus something wholesome. So what your app does, I'll just mention, I think that it seems like your app could connect people when you're feeling busy or you don't know where to start or how to plan. It can make that connection even as you're busy, but also establish a healthier, say, relationship with the process.
Yeah, I fully agree. And that is something, our generation, we were younger, we didn't eat as a family. Like most of us didn't. We ate in front of the TV, and it's so sad. Or like now it's kids on their phones. You go to restaurants, everyone's on their phones. There's no community even within the home. And it needs to stop. But every meal we make from scratch at home. Sometimes we go out locally. Like we buy bread from a local They mill the flour there. They grow all the flour in Arkansas. They mill it and then they bake the bread every day. We buy our bread there. Normally I bake the bread, but it's been very exhausting pregnancy with everything else going on while working. So we allocate our bread to them. They're amazing. And that is still supporting community and supporting local farmers. So we really like them. And they don't ruminate their flour. They don't do any of that garbage. It's awesome. Yeah, and so the thing is, like, we teach our children no tablets, no phones, nothing, even us adults. We sit at the table. If someone calls us, we just ignore it. We sit at the table, we eat, and we talk. And that is so important for families. And it needs to come back. And, community starts within your home, and it starts with food. And, more people who will come together and they're like, oh, well, like, it's a farmer's market in your hand all the time. And, that builds community again. When you're like, okay, well, I'm baking bread and I bought the flour from my local farmer. I'm going to tell my friends, hey, I made this bread. You want to come over? Because I'm not going to eat the whole thing by myself. That creates more community. And then they're like, oh, well, this is really good bread. Yeah, I bought the flour from this farmer. He's super awesome, or she's super awesome. And it creates these little ripple effects in our community. So it's creating, more sustainability. And these people keep going against regenerative farming, and they're like, well, you can't feed the world. It's like, we're not supposed to. We're supposed to feed our community.
Right.
Communities are small around community. We need tons and tons of farmers, again, feeding our communities in our local area. And I think, too, that's a reason why a lot of people are sick, as well as because we don't eat locally, we don't eat seasonally. So, you have all your gut biome, and you're bringing in, food from another country, and that's completely different bacteria that you're introducing into your gut. That's completely different from your environment, and that's going to create havoc on your system as well.
Yeah, randomly all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, especially too if it's not seasonal, your body has to process it differently. And like we believe in traditional Chinese medicine, eating locally, seasonally. You know, in the winter you need to eat more warming foods because it's cold. You know, in the summer you eat more cooling foods like cucumbers, watermelons, things that keep you hydrated, things like that. But yeah, it is interesting, and I think more and more people are realizing how important food is, and they're really wanting to get back to this. You know, even in like farmers markets and like communities are kind of dropping the ball in some areas, and they're just like selling, you know, imported stuff from Tempe or something, you know.
Right.
And people are wanting to get back to the basics, and like with the Malhab movement and crypto, a lot of Bitcoiners are really wanting to get back into food, which is really amazing. The connection between Bitcoin and farming. And I was like, I had no idea when I was on X. I was like, this is so cool because like we're really into Bitcoin and crypto, and I was like, wow, this is super awesome. So many people are buying farms with their Bitcoin earnings, and I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah, pay in Bitcoin if you can.
Yeah. We plan on doing that. The only issue is, so Apple and Google made it where they're like not wanting third-party payments, and so you can't have it on your app or whatever. You have to have it on your website. And so I had to have my developers do a workaround with that so people can pay us in Bitcoin. That's what I plan on doing in the future, so people don't have to use fiat currency to pay us. And then also Apple and Google don't get their cut because you don't get your full, you know, $9.99. They have to take their cut of it because they're hosting your app, and then they
Oh, you're cutting out a little bit again on the audio.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so Apple and Google gets their cut first, and then you have to pay taxes. And so it just, if you do, you know, crypto, they don't get their cut, and you know, it goes transactional, you know, instead of different middleman. Every middleman wants their cut, and it's just getting ridiculous.
Yeah. And long ago, I heard an interesting talk by a guy. This was at an environmental school kind of a situation, but it was a different kind of a talk where he's talking about, you know, a lot of people, we don't connect how we feel after we eat. A lot of times we think eating is like just a separate thing we have to do. And then later we get busy, and it might be an hour later or a day later, and you feel funny and you don't connect why. And he said, and and I was in the software industry for years where I would just be busy, and you're caught up in your head, and it's very cerebral, and you're intellectual, and you're thinking. And then you're like, why do I feel this way? And you're just like, I don't know. And this talk that I listened to, he said, start paying attention to your body. And when you eat food, like don't do a bunch of different crazy stuff and all that stuff. Just kind of get into a rhythm, find out what your body likes, what you feel like you want, and then eat that, and then give it time and see how you feel, and start connecting how you feel with what you're eating and what you're doing. And don't get like distracted by noise. Hone in on how you know yourself, like through your food or through your sleep or through your thought processes, but start paying attention to how you're feeling and find out why. Food is just so core to everything. We all eat usually every day, unless you're doing something, fasting or something. But people will just kind of like, oh, I'm hungry now, there's a thing, I'll just eat it and then move on with your life. And then later you're like, oh, I'm tired. I just, I'll just drink more coffee. And so, if you start paying attention, what did I eat? How did that make me feel? And you build up a relationship with yourself, perhaps. So, people need to listen. I wanted to, so looking at your website here, I started out, how many years ago was it? This brings to mind something I was thinking of, where about 25 years ago, I read a book called, hold on one second. It was Diet for a New America by John Robbins. and I don't have it up here, but Diet Food for New America got me thinking about being vegetarian. I was actually vegetarian for about 6 years and tried that out. And then Michael Pollan wrote a book called The Omnivore's Dilemma, because what I found was, excuse me, I went vegetarian for a number of years, and I felt better about, like, because I could more easily source through a co-op certain clean food, and I didn't have to worry about the complexities of meat. And I thought, well, that's better. And then I had a different job where I had to be much more physical and up early and work very physically, and I felt myself being very tired. And I listened to myself, and I craved meat. I just craved meat. And this was after years of not having eaten like any meat. So I was like, man, I just crave meat. So I started eating some meat, and I read this book here, The Omnivore's Dilemma. What this got me to was more of like food sourcing and whole foods, that different bodies are different. Some people, different things work for different people, but it's not so much exactly what you're eating, but the source of that food, and that it's not processed, it's not mixed or replaced, or that, you know, here you have something that's dairy, but it says 0 fat. Like, what is that? Anyway, that book got me thinking about what food is. And then, of course, later, then I heard about Polyface Farms, which I thought I'd bring up here real quick here as well. Joel Salatin, he's got a lot of books, but he talked about.
That's why I wanted to get into farming, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's one of the reasons why.
Yeah, he's written a ton of books, but
Yeah.
what was interesting about when I learned about him was he reframed it all about, people look oftentimes at the food outcomes, and he says, you know, as far as a whole symbiotic relationship on a farm, he says, what I'm doing is raising grass. And you could say, you know, growing your soil, but he's very much about, like, it's like, yeah, you can do cows and you can do chickens, but if you're doing it wrong, you're depleting your soil, you're tattering the earth, it's too dense, or the animals aren't happy or whatever. And he said that the way he's got his, you know, his chicken tractor and his cows, and the chickens have their time with it, and the cows are all happy, and the grass, what he started with, the grass has since grown so much more healthy. The soil has actually grown, even as all these animals are eating off of it and living on it. He's replacing soil, growing good grass, and the grass
grows so much down too. It's absolutely phenomenal. Like grassroots on like conventional farms are like so shallow, you just pull them out. But then like you have regenerative farming, the roots are just down. They don't face drought as bad, you know? Like it holds the moisture in.
Yeah, so that was kind of my journey of diet when I was young through adulthood. Now, I started out thinking, well, I'll be vegetarian. That'll be environmental and clean and healthy. Well, it can depend. And what I found was that I was honestly, I would get tired because I wasn't eating enough of the right stuff, maybe not enough iron or other things. And I did need meat. I wouldn't be prescriptive about food, like who needs what food. But for me, when I felt that need, I didn't ignore it. Like, well, no, I'm just going to do my thing. I was like, no, I got to listen to myself.
Yeah, that's the same thing too. Like when you're pregnant, you have pregnancy cravings for a reason.
Oh, yeah.
Just throughout your pregnancy, you know, there's sometimes I'm just like, I need tons and tons of vitamin C, and then you find out vitamin C is very important for placenta growth and having a really good, healthy amniotic sac and everything. It's really phenomenal. You know, when we listen to our body and what we crave, there's a reason for it, you know. If people are like, okay, I crave, you know, chocolates, like, oh, you're lacking magnesium, you know, things of that nature. But yeah, we really like our beef. Like we bought 100% Wagyu beef locally, and it's grass-fed, grass-finished. He doesn't spray, he doesn't do all the crazy other stuff. We got it for $5.99 hanging weight pound, and it is the best beef. It's not as like marbly as like, you know, the grass-fed, I mean the corn-fed Wagyu that a lot of people are known for, but it tastes more like conventional like corn finished beef, which is nice because it has more fat to it. It's not as lean as grass fed, grass finished. A lot of people don't like that. And it's been phenomenal. And we buy whole cows and we put them in our deep freezer, and that's supporting a local farmer in our town. And we aren't paying $17.99, $30.99 a pound, a dollar a pound at the grocery store, which is all fixed pricing. The farmers aren't getting that money. It's the meat packing and the third and fourth middleman. It's not just, okay, Walmart's getting that pricing or Aldi's or whatever. You have meat packing companies, and then you have the other ones who are selling it. It's moving through so many hands. All the prices that go through it. And everyone's kept saying too, like, oh, we have a beef shortage. Like, we export billions of pounds of beef, billions. And they're like, we don't have enough beef in the U.S. It's like, why are we exporting the best beef in the U.S. that's grown here to other countries, billions of pounds?
Because it's cheap.
Import garbage beef. And it's so crazy how people are unaware of like what's happening. And like even with like the chicken farmers, like they're being screwed by these meat packing companies because they're like, oh, I don't want to pay the fines that we're having to do. So they're like breaking these contracts with these companies, with these people, these farmers who got in bed with the devil, and they're like, they don't have the money for a lawyer to fight back them because they broke their contract, so they're going forfeit. I met a man, he said he had the best turkeys this year growing, and he said that one of the meat packing companies were like, nope, we're not paying you. And kind of lost. He's like, I'm going bankrupt. And he was like 75, this old man. He was telling me all about it, and I told him about our app. And he's like, you're doing God's work. And I was like, thank you, I really appreciate it. He's like, I really wish I didn't get into business with them because I'm losing my farm now. And this happens over and over again. And, it's so crazy too because all the pollution from these massive, massive farms, and then they just kill them, and there's like the bird flu and all this other crazy stuff. And there's like Merck's disease, and it's just filthy conditions. And people don't want to eat like that, and it's like, it's better to get it locally, and it tastes better. And that's something too, when we eat our own chicken, we don't have to eat as much of it.
Right.
And it's so much better. And it's like, but then if you eat chicken from a store, it's so like spongy and just like, there's no nutrients to it. And you don't eat so much of it to get filled, and you're still hungry. And I think that also pushes the epidemic of obesity because people are eating food and they're not getting the nutrients, so they're hungry. And
higher
hungry
calories, but lower nutrients.
Yeah, and so the body's craving more food, but they're not eating food, And it's such a difference when you actually eat locally and sustainable food where it's actually grown ethically. It's just so much better for our environment and for our people.
I found that with, and it can even be a salad, but sometimes I'll have whole food, and in my head, and the way I grew up, like, finish your plate, whatever, plate size and all that, but it's like, in my head, I had a understanding about how much food I would normally eat. And depending on the food, I would eat so much of it. And then when I have good, wholesome food, I might eat half of it and just feel satiated or like I'm full. And at first I'd think something's wrong. Like I didn't eat as much as I should.
Yeah.
Or maybe something's not right. I just didn't need to eat that much. My body was like, you're good. And it's like different. Maybe you don't need to eat that much. Smaller plates, but higher nutrients. When the food is diluted, like our Fiat system, and it's, pushing out calories and stuff that tastes good, but the nutrients are thin, then your body is getting trained to manage feeling full, but you're still hungry. And then you eat more, and then you eat more. And you're trying to get to those nutrients, but you're eating too much, or you're eating garbage or toxins. So
it's crazy too because, like, in third world countries, there's like starvation epidemics, and people are very skinny and very, very frail and sick because of it. But then we live in a country where we're actually starving, but we're obese, and people don't put that two to two together because they've done I've tried to explain this to people too. I'm like, you do a lab work on people's nutrients levels. Most people are depleted in vitamin D. It's like 98% of Americans.
Yeah,
Like starvation. And like even all these other nutrients that you need, like iron, tons of people are iron deficient and they're taking supplements for iron. Everyone's on like multivitamins and stuff because they're not getting real food. It's like we're starving.
Yeah,
it's
right.
so crazy. But then we don't really think we're starving because we're not emancipated. Like we're not emancipated. Like really speaking, I can't think of the word right now. I'm sorry.
So no, you're good. This is exactly what we're talking about that's important here, where you're shortening the supply chain and the middleman between farm to fork and decreasing the amount of processing, supporting farmers and healing people and getting that good direct quality food straight to people.
Yeah, that's the solution. And and getting people to learn how to cook again, because that's the biggest thing too. People don't know, the younger generations, a lot of people learn how to use a can opener. It's really sad that we have failed that much as a society to pass down basic knowledge like that. And I didn't know when I was 18 either, and I had to learn all this stuff. My husband actually paid for classes for me to learn how to ferment, pickle, and he did it with a microbiologist. So I was like super stoked, and he taught the science behind it and everything. And took all his classes, learned how to do soap making and everything, and just started baking and just experimenting in the kitchen. And I love it. I fell in love with cooking, and I don't even, when I cook, I don't use recipes. I'm just like, bam, bam, bam. And my husband would be so annoyed. He's like, make this again, it's so good. I'm like, no, it's like, it comes from the soul. And then other people were like, you make cookbooks, you make cooking shows, and I'm hypocrite, so I was like, I don't feel comfortable with that. So it's cool to actually come from not knowing how to do any of these things to make an app to help other people to go through a similar journey as I did, but then having it so much more where everyone can come together and help each other learn and rise above what our foreparents have failed us, and didn't give us these skills, and that's the biggest hurdle too. People are so scared to ferment. They're like, oh, I'm gonna die or can, well, they're like putting botulism in their face. Like you're scared of botulism when you're injecting it in your face. So it's like there's this extreme disconnect that I want people to get the fear away. And I feel if more and more people are seeing it, they're like, okay, I can do this too, and it'll just make everyone so much more healthier. And I'm happy that our government, in a way, is like letting people know this, but there are the reasons why we're in the problem too. They created these problems like, oh, well, now we're going to have the solutions. Months and months later, you have to pay us with your tax money to fix these solutions. I'm just like, screw it. Like, no, let's just do this ourselves. Like, let's get rid of the government fixes who always, I'm here to help them, the government. You want to run the other way. So,
and some of this stuff started so long ago as well, because you could say that, a couple of generations ago, things have gotten worse over the generations. Like people used to sit down at the dining room table and they didn't have cell phones, but it was a time to sit and talk about the day and check in and not have distractions, and you ate and it was time. It was not just food, but it was also time. But my grandma had an old Betty Crocker cookbook that then my mom got at one point. And when I was a kid, I would cook with that and whatever. And then at one point, like in my head, I was like, off to college or whatever, and I was going to get myself a cookbook. And so I got one of those like Betty Crocker cookbook things that just sort of had all the recipes I remember that I could make stuff. I was looking at that thing later after I learned things about food. Oh my goodness. Even coming from like the 50s and 60s, it was like some of the ingredients was like, what doesn't have like a cup of sugar in it? Or like, oh yeah, use this brand of Crisco. And I was like, what is Crisco anyway? Like it's these like industrial byproducts that they're like, well, it's not going to kill people, and it has these properties. You can eat it, but it's a waste product, and so let's make it food. But all these recipes were like Crisco and corn syrup and sugar, and then they had food as well in there, that whatever. But it dawned on me that for decades and decades, some of the even just early Betty Crocker recipe books were complete garbage.
Yeah, they were paid by these companies to push all this crap on our parents and their parents and stuff like that. And like people think, again, like what you're saying is generational. Like people think it's just a modern issue. Like I was watching History of Bread, and people would actually put lead in bread to make it more white. And so we would be really sick. Yeah, it's crazy because everyone's like, oh, it's just modern day of people doing it. It's like, oh, people have been corrupt forever. But yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Looking at old cookbooks and then they got the microwave and that created convenience and they're like in the frozen meals and all the canned stuff. And then they're just like you have to go. It used to be even at the grocery stores when they first started them, it was all like locally grown and stuff. But then they started having the trains and then semis, and then they just started flooding everywhere. Kroger, Walmart, all of this, and they had their own brands, and it just created a huge mess. And then now we outsource everything too, and it's just getting worse and worse. It's like a simulacra inside of the simulacra of food. Now they're doing meat printing. Most people are unaware that it was already FDA approved for cloned meat being sold since 2006, I believe. So there's cloned meat in the grocery store. People aren't aware they're eating.
Oh.
Yeah, and then 3D printed meat is allowed to be sold. Most people aren't even aware about the alpha-gal pigs, which I've brought up so many times when our family. This is another reason why my son was very sick. He had alpha-gal, and then we had mold in our house, which mold has alpha-gal molecules in it.
What is that called again?
Alpha-gal syndrome. Most people know Lyme disease.
Oh yeah.
So alpha-gal makes you allergic to mammal and mammal byproducts. And my son, he got it the worst. We couldn't even leave the house because if there was fumes, like at the park across the street, there was a barbecue place, and they grill, they do smokehouse outside, and the fumes put him in anaphylaxis, and he almost died.
Oh.
And it's like peanut allergy, but worse. And we're thankfully all in remission. But it was a really, really hard time during this whole ordeal, and made us look into more food even deeply because of it. And just the bioweapons of ticks, and they don't want us to eat meat. And it's really scary because there's this one scientist, he's like, oh, well, everyone's gonna become a vegetarian. We have a disease for that, it's through ticks, ha ha ha, because no one wants to do it, so we're gonna force it. But he eats steak.
Bugs are supposed to be good for you. It's better for the planet.
And it's so crazy. And it's skyrocketing here. So that's why under lifestyles, we have over 300 alpha-gal safe recipes because we went through this ourselves, and we want to support local farmers and people who have this because it means a lot. Because that was the hardest struggle, like what you're saying with your connection with food. When you have your own sets of your diet, what you normally eat, and then having to okay, you can't have dairy, you can't have any red meat, and all you can eat is chicken and fish, and poultry, emu, ostrich, alligator, things like that. You have to literally uproot your whole kitchen and what you learn, what to cook, and it's very stressful. And so that's a huge reason why we have that on there. So people who are going through it, they have safe food and safe recipes, and then they're like, okay, well, I can buy emu. That's a red meat that's not a mammal, that is really nutrient dense for overcoming this and healing your body through this. But yeah, it's absolutely crazy. And that was why we had over 300 birds to kill the ticks off our property, because we just all got it. And
wow.
Yeah, it's scary though what they're trying to do with their food, and so they're doing it through printing and then the cloning, and so this is where I got more deeper into food. So I was looking at support groups, and they were talking about this one company and how they're gene editing pigs to make them without alpha-gal in them, and pigs are already be closely related to humans, genetically speaking. And so they took the alpha-gal molecule and out of it, which only humans, and then I think there's 3 primates that don't have it, if I remember correctly, like old monkeys and stuff. And they inserted 11 human DNA genetics into the pigs, so people can eat them safely. And so they're even closely related to humans, and they were not FDA approved, and they were giving away the meat, wouldn't show pictures of what the pigs look like, which is even weirder. And because someone asked they did a Freedom of Information Act for this company, and they were like, yeah, we inserted 11 human genetic DNA into the pig, and we took out the alpha-gal. It's safe to eat, but we haven't done studies. So they were using the alpha-gal community as guinea pigs, and they were sending tons and tons of meat for free to these people in the community. I'm like, dude, this is like similar to cannibalism.
Like an experiment, a research project here.
Yeah, it was really spooky, and like people were getting really angry at me, and they were like, "We want to eat our bacon." I'm like, "At what cost? Like, what if you have the
Is
protein?"
it bacon? Is it
bacon? the human bacon? I don't know. It was really weird. And then they now FDA approved it, and so they can sell it. And I believe Canada's getting some, and then they're selling it in America too. And there's a couple farms that we used to support, and they're selling it now. So it's just like, this is absolutely mad. They're genetically modifying animals, and there's literally no safety regulations around it. And people are eating it because they're like, well, I want to eat meat. And this is their solution to what they caused. And that's, again, it's like, we're here, the government, we're here to help, which we started this problem in the first place. So
better and better living through science, and as opposed to maybe like the earth from which we are born. And RFK Jr.'s got his work cut out for him. I mean, I know we're really working hard to do a lot of good things, but what's crazy about it is that it's such a huge old system of stuff that when you mention about supporting farmers, every time, these small farms and farmers go under, and that land can be bought up by big farms or whatever. The history of Monsanto, I mean, even like 20 years ago, I was hearing stuff about Monsanto and the GMO foods, the Roundup Ready stuff. Hey, plant this and then just spray away, and your plants are fine. It's like, okay, 1, GMO, whatever that is, fine. 2, Roundup. 3, they were suing adjacent farmers who, like even organic farms, that are like, I don't want that GMO seed in my crop. Your seed has infected my crop. Monsanto would sue those farmers for stealing their seed.
yeah.
And just to put them out of business. I mean, the most predatory, disgusting corporate attack on farmers, and our food. I mean, disgusting.
And I'm tired of the government's like, we're going to protect the farmers, and all they keep talking about the big agricultures. Thomas Massey is trying to push McCool and Prime Act, and that would be the best thing for our country if Prime Act passes, because that gives power back to the farmers, and so they can sell directly to consumers. Like, that's what's needed. And there's also Direct Act, which you can sell. It's the same as Prime Act essentially, but you can sell it through state lines, so you can sell your meat online to other communities and stuff like that, which is amazing. So I'm praying they get passed, because like we need to solve this, because like losing 77 farms a day is not sustainable, and that just gives more of the control to our government, these big corporations, the BlackRock, Vanguard, all of these companies, and then they're buying all these farms and making the data centers too. Like, it's really scary, and they're like, they get to use the electricity, they get to use all the water. We have all these like rolling blackouts right now. Why are the data centers being affected by the rolling blackouts? But people who have like 10 degrees in their house, they are the ones that get affected.
Those big centralized farming operations, not farms like you think they are, but the compute and AI and data farms, they take a lot of water. Actually, people don't realize they they go into places, and we have it in our area too, but it's all over in Oregon and Washington and elsewhere. But they'll put themselves next to areas that have a lot of energy and access to water. They use a lot of both. They take a lot of water. There have been communities that have been upset about the fact that, infrastructure needs to be built to supply these farms, and they're taking a ton of water out of the watershed or the aquifer or the public. So
yeah, it's crazy. Most people too, like I was just reading about Palantir, which, everyone knows about Palantir and like the whole like deep state security craziness, and they're getting into farming now, the big agriculture, and that's not talked about much, and it's
why? Well, complete control. How do we get complete control? It's the most core aspect of humans is food, farms, the nutrients or whatever. It can get creepy quick, and you'd say, oh, it sounds conspiratorial. Well, if a group of people get together with a plan and do these things that are sort of aggressive towards humanity, I'm comfortable calling it a conspiracy. I mean,
it's what it is. Like
it is what it is.
It doesn't mean a bad or good thing. It just means people are coming to conspire to change something. So that could be good or bad. We're conspiring right now to help.
They're conspiring to have farm to fork.
Exactly. So, we're against a big monolith of not great people, but that's okay. And I think there's power to the people who want change and want real food, and it's a solution, and it's not even just that, like, that's why I also took so much time into making our app very valuable and beautiful too. So it's not just like a lot of this other stuff or a website or something, because people don't really use websites anymore. Everything's just apps, and it's enjoyable to be on because it's pretty, and most apps aren't nowadays. They're just basic and dull. It's like the modern art stuff. It's like people want, like ancient Greece. Like I love ancient Greece. Like just how immaculate, and it's so inspiring how much work and dedication and beauty they put into everything. Like tiny details. And my house is like that too. Our door frames, like the bottom of them, I have these like tiny little decals with flowers that are all hand carved, and I stain them and I put them on there. It's just tiny little details. I am so about that because it's like it draws your eye to things, and it just makes you think a little bit more and be more present in your surroundings. It's so important, and just like we have real hardwood floors in our house. I put in it's acacia hardwood floor, which is cool. Acacia's the burning bush. And they're beautiful and they're warm, and it's not plastic, it's not fake, it's not simulacra, it's real. It's gonna last forever. Something we can pass down to our family. We don't have to replace every 5 years, and it's just that we just need to get back to realness and
quality and authenticity. And speaking of elegant, crisp, clean, beautiful design, so here's the icon. Now, this is, I will say, presumably is a mulberry tree, huh?
Yes.
So when I first heard mulberry, I knew what the word was because I thought of like, oh, this is the only reference I have, Mulberry Street, right? But here I have a I'll let you tell me about the dream you had and all that stuff. But here's my quick story about mulberries: is that I'd heard the word and I didn't even really know what that meant. Okay, is it a bush or a tree or what? And until I moved to Oregon, and I was, Oregon, Washington, Columbia Gorge, River Gorge area. And that was the first time I actually saw a mulberry tree. They're not common. They're kind of a rare tree around here.
Yeah, they're not common in Oregon.
So there were mulberries growing along the river in an area of in my previous job, I was a park ranger. And we had mulberries growing along the river in certain parkland areas. And then I learned a lot about what it even was, the fact that they're an amazing, beautiful, cool tree. The birds love them. The animals love them. and they make these little. They're like blackberries. They're a little more chewy, but they taste great. When they were fresh and in season, certain times of the summer, and they'd be blooming, and they would bloom for a long time. And I could just pick them off and eat them. And I found out there's black or dark mulberries, and there's white ones. The white ones are actually a little more sweeter, maybe different flavor of sweetness. There were white mulberries, little berries that the animals and birds would eat, and they're great to eat. And I also found out that some trees, they have male and female trees.
Yeah.
So there were like male, as far as what I learned was that there were male and female mulberry trees, and that the females produced the fruit, and that there were other male trees that usually didn't but would pollinate. So that was interesting, like male and female trees, and that as a community of trees, there'd be like a random mix of them. But if a community of trees had like too many males and not enough females, like as a community, they knew that or sensed that, and that if there weren't a lot of female trees, within a certain number of years of a tree growing, it might start out genetically as a male, and if it wasn't sensing enough diversity, perhaps it would switch, and so a male tree could become a female tree and provide a balance. So that's also what I learned.
Well, like they also use them for silk production in Asia, because the millworm, they eat the mulberries and the leaves and stuff like that, and they produce a higher silk content from them too, which is really cool.
Huh, interesting. So now tell me about your dream then. Like, why do you think the mulberry tree?
I don't know. Like I maybe, like I said, I had the dream about it, and I woke up and I was just like, okay, I had this dream. I was using an app on my phone, which I never really have dreams with phones in it. It's very, very rare. It's weird, especially when we use phones like every day and computers. But like never in my dream. And I had a dream. I was on my phone and I was using the app, and I was like, all right. And then I just everything that is on the app, and I was like, oh my gosh, Chris, we have to do this. And I was like, I have no idea how to make an app, what we need to do, but let's figure this out. This is amazing. And he's like, wow, this is such a great idea. Like, because we've always looked for, websites for farms. You call them, they're not working. There's just, the websites are dead, or like the emails aren't working. Like they don't have the information on there. And there's just so many different ones. And it's just like, okay, you have to look for them. And then I told him, and then that's where I was saying the name was Mulberry Tree, and that was on an X Live, and the guy, his name's Cowboy, he's in our circles too, and he's like, oh, it's so cool, the Mulberry Tree, that's the Tree of Liberty. And I was like, oh, no way, that's so cool. He goes, yeah, that's the founding fathers. They said, the Tree of Liberty is, it gets thirsty at times. It's freedom. And so it's just really interesting, and it just made more sense, like synchronicity wise, that like God wanted us to do this. And it's about freedom. Like that's freedom for food, freedom for farmers, freedom for, our community, outside the government restrictions of getting people back to our community, which we're failing. Right now, our community is our country is so broken right now, and we want to fix that. So
I just had to look that up real quick. The Tree of Liberty. It looks like a mulberry tree to me.
They get to 80 feet tall. It's crazy. People just think they're bushes, but yeah.
They're smaller like not
that there's bushes, and then there's smaller ones. Because like trees come in different sizes. But yeah, the biggest ones are 80 feet.
Huh. Yeah, that's interesting. And then go away. There's mulberries. They're kind of like blackberries, and they're good. I like them.
Delicious. Yeah, we have mulberries on our farm too, which was another thing too, which we didn't know that because we have 21 acres, and we have woods and we have pasture and we have just like all sorts of stuff, and like it's fun to explore with the kids. Like we found a random pear tree and then some peach trees. We're like, oh, this is really cool, and some pecan trees, and then after it was this summer, there was some stuff that was going on. and just some tribulations in our life. And then we looked, and what we'd never seen it before. It was so weird. We lived here, and there was just, it was bloomed. It was just tons of mulberries, tons and tons of this tree. And we're like, whoa, like we didn't know we had mulberry trees on our property. And so that was really cool too. And this was after we started building the app and everything. So yeah, it is really interesting. So
they're a unique and special tree. People don't know a lot about them or have them around or ever seen one. And so just the name of the company and the app is unique and special that way. So let me make sure people know how to get there. So you can go to.
It's interesting. Sorry. Our doctor we see, he said like he uses tons of mulberry. Because he asked what our app was named, and I was like, "Oh, it's Mulberry Tree." He goes, because he does a lot of herbalism, and he said that's his favorite herb he uses is mulberry.
Oh, really?
Very medicinal too, like the leaves and the fruit and the bark and stuff. It's so fascinating. And he's like, "That's so cool, it's Mulberry Tree." Sorry.
Yeah, I thought of it as like good fruit, but I mean, heck, it's anything that is just you can pick and eat fresh when it's ripe. It's gonna be good. Okay, so you can go to mulberrytree.io and you can read all about it, download the app. The app will get you much more directly as far as your capability on the, if you can see it here. Anyway, I downloaded the app. I've got it started up. You can be a food enthusiast, a chef, or a farmer. Pick your profile and go through a little wizard and connect, and then you can get access to a community and recipes and chefs and farmers, the sourcing and everything through and through. And then for people to find you online as well, they can go to on X, Mulberry Tree app. You're here. So people can find you here and read your feed and learn more about it. So
we're also on YouTube, and we're on TikTok, and we're on Instagram as well. Oh,
wait, let me refresh this. I want to make sure sanity check here. Hello. No, don't tell me. Well, I had to click a thing, but it's there.
Okay.
You never know these days what's going
on. The other thing we're building right now, before we go, is so we have you can order ingredients to the recipes, and then we're also right now my developers are building. It's called the farmers market, and so you can order the ingredients to the recipes, or you can go down, scroll down on the homepage, and it says the farmers market, and so people will be able to sell live animals, eggs, hatching eggs, tools, equipment, kind of like a Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, but the farmers market.
Mm-hmm.
So most people are unaware that Facebook is owned, lots of their shares are owned by PETA, and so you can't sell live animals. And there's all these groups online that you have to hush hush about the animals, you only post pictures, you can't do pricing, and that kind of screws farmers over because they don't know if they're overselling or underselling because they don't know what the market prices are in their community. And it also, you don't know much about it, and you're just kind of it has to be quick because these groups get shut down and stuff. And so we're having it where okay, here's the animal. Is it papered? Is it not? Is it vaccinated? Is it not? Is it wormed? Is it not wormed? And so people, they have to fill out criteria, how expensive it is, that they're selling it for. And so it's just upfront right there, which that doesn't exist on any of these platforms. And so people are able to do that. And so we're going to be launching that very soon too within the app. And so people can sell other things, and then people can do also cottage laws, sell baked goods on our app as well.
Oh, cool. And it brings to mind as well things like we have them in our area, but 4-H programs. 4-H can be a good connection for kids to have that experience. I've had many people in my community with kids, and they've gone through 4-H, and maybe all they do is raise a few chickens, or maybe they raise one pig or one goat. But for a kid, raising an animal and seeing, the circle of life, everything from its birth to its raising and how you took care of it, and then you show it off, and people get to appreciate it, and you feel pride in what you built, and then you sell your animal, and they get to learn that feeling of being like a junior farmer, junior rancher. So it's good stuff.
Thank you.
Is there for you and your diet? I know you mentioned it being seasonal, but I had a thought about what kind of, other than we know fundamentally whole foods. Is there a kind of diet that you being pregnant, you crave for things, but is there a kind of diet that you consider to be like better on average for people, like excluding certain things and incorporating more of another, or is it just different for everybody?
I think it's different for everybody depending on like where you your family heritage comes from too. Like if you're up northern or like Mediterranean and things like that, like your genetic background, I think that comes into play. And then also where you live, because that's in your environment. You should be eating locally, seasonally. Like I said, everyone's different too. So like this is what we believe in. Like we don't do seed oils, we don't do fast food, we don't do candy. If we do bake stuff, like we get from the local bakery, they don't do any of the garbage, they use real sugar. I normally bake at home, and even my kids, when they're like, we get the bakery and they don't even put that much sugar, my kids are like, this is too sugary. And they're like, I don't like it that much. And so like it's interesting when your kids say things like that.
When they're used to like good stuff, and like I've had just like, we'll be out somewhere and I'll just say like, I'll think, I'll get like orange juice, and I'll realize, man, for me, what I'm used to now, I got to water it down if I have any, but you get like this really thick, sweet stuff, and you're like, whoa, too sweet, too much sugar.
Yeah, it's we just try to like I said, like it's been a little bit difficult this pregnancy with our diet, just because I had really bad SPD my second trimester, so I can barely walk. It was very frustrating, and so my husband had to cook everything, and then just like meal planning is kind of crazy because like I've been working a lot, and I homeschool our kids too, so we're very, very, very busy people.
You're busy.
Yeah.
Birds and goats, taking care of goats.
Oh yeah, I know. I have to feed my baby goats, and but yeah, it's and then like tonight I was able to cook, so I was so happy, and I just did the Wagyu ground beef, and made like a pasta dish and stuff, and with like raw cheeses and stuff. It was really good. And the kids were super excited. They love when I get to cook. And Dad's an amazing cook too, but they're just like, yay, Mom's cooking tonight. And because he had to go do errands. And I was like, I'm not driving in the snow while pregnant and doing all this stuff. So he goes for everything. He does also want me to go into labor at the store. So, but yeah, so like I said, it really depends. When I'm really, really into cooking, because life is ebb and flows, and we try to not be super strict about it because that's just too much stress, with anybody. But we eat healthy. We try to do like 80-20, 90-10, like, the whole like crunchy, like saying like, okay, like 90%, like we make everything from scratch, 10% we buy, or 80%, 20.
Yeah.
When I'm like full on cooking, meal planning, I do very strict traditional Chinese medicine, seasonal cooking, which I'll be putting that on the app too.
Okay.
And just buying everything local. We get a lot of stuff from Azure too.
Azure Farms is right near in my neck of the woods here.
Yeah, they're really great.
They've grown a lot. They're huge.
Yeah. They're super awesome, and so we get stuff from them too. And like we even make our dogs food from scratch every day.
Wow.
So because like I said, we had mold in our house, and our dog was having really bad seizures. And dog food actually can cause more seizures because there's like so much mycotoxins in them. And now since it's been making all their food from scratch. They're so much healthier too. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, that's about it. Like,
Cool.
you know, we like I said, like I sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make some pie, which it's not like, you know, super traditional Chinese medicine, like, you know, but you know, my kids like pie and like.
Yeah. So as your farms had their, well, I guess it's been growing. It kind of evolved from like a farmer's market to a little bit more of a farm fall fest. And this past fall, last year, just a few months ago, it's grown so big that they had to get county permitting and, you know, make sure that they could accommodate like 1,000 people or thousands of people. Joel Salatin actually came out to the event.
I wanted to go.
So they're going to have it every year now. It is growing. It's growing big, and they have a big Fall Fest celebration. Fun stuff for all ages. I should like look it up here and find it because I was actually in the meeting when they got their permitting. We're requesting their permitting. Azure Farms Fall Fest here. Let me, if I can find it real quick. Yes. Right here in little old Doofer. So the Harvest Festival, organic farming for future generations in Doofer, Oregon. They had it. Oh, it was the end of August. Oh yeah. So 2026, they've already got it planned. Saturday and Sunday, August 29th and 30th. So they had speakers. They had all kinds of local farmers and stuff. But people travel from far away because they love the movement. It's representative of this whole movement going on at Azure Farms. And I think of it, I'm like, Doofer, you know, little old Azure.
Yeah.
It's growing. People demand this. They desire this.
Yeah, they do. It's people want to be healthy again. People are tired of being sick and tired. And yeah. I miss Oregon a lot. I do. I don't miss the craziness of it, but Oregon is a phenomenal place. But yeah. There's a festival up in Missouri too that's coming up, and then there's another one. I'm gonna try to reach out to people and promote our app and get people on board and work with people because I feel like a lot of us have the same goals and same desires of doing this. And I just got 1,000 brochures about our app to hand out too. So, and
awesome.
They're super nice looking. I can grab one real quick.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, this kind of event is something that, like, if Mulberry connected to this, there's a lot of interested people that just want to share and connect on the source of their food, the recipes they follow, the cooking they do, supporting the farmer, and nourishing themselves, their body. So I love it.
I'm about to pop.
Oh my goodness. Whoa, hold on. Hold that pose real quick. Off screen.
Yep.
There you go. Wow. Healthy growing baby there. I had to show that. That's awesome.
We have numbers too, and I'm sure he's gonna be another 9-pounder. We have 9 children.
Wow.
Yeah. And so these are our brochures. I designed these. Yeah.
Nice. Very pretty. Yeah. Hand those out at the farmer market.
Yeah, and then it talks about the app and everything. I just got them all printed, so I'm excited to do this.
Cool.
Worked really hard on designing these. So, and then we have, I'm getting Sweet Bibby on here. I love her. She's a sweet lady. An apron with our logo on it too. She's super awesome. And once everything is calmed down, my husband's gonna go mail it out to her. And we'll have merch too, so I'm excited. And all the aprons are all US made, and we have cups and other things to sell eventually. That's all US made, shirts and whatnot. So
cool. Growing family, growing business, and now this app is fairly new. Then, like, it's only been out for a little while now, so it's
3 weeks.
3 weeks. So a little bit of a debut here to show it off and get people aware of it all. So
really appreciate it so much.
Awesome. I love seeing it. I've really enjoyed having you on. And again, you can go to mulberrytree.com
No, .io.
IO, I'm sorry, mulberrytree.io. There it is. And on X, Mulberry Tree app on X. And you're also, you said TikTok, Instagram,
And YouTube.
YouTube?
Yes, YouTube too. I make little videos every day about like recipes and like farming and things like that. And so like little shorts. And then I've been doing that for 2 years. So.
Let me just bring it up real quick if I can find it here. I should probably search for Mulberry Tree
app on YouTube.
app. Find it here. There we are. Okay, I didn't realize you were on YouTube.
Be careful, Steve.
So you've got videos with looks like a lot of recipes.
Yep, and then you scroll down and have all the shorts of what I do.
Oh, awesome. Okay, I didn't realize you had this, so I'm just taking a look here. So educational stuff, back to the kitchen, the advent calendar, soups, gatherings. Wow, you're prolific. I had no idea.
My husband always tells me, you need to calm down, slow down.
Oh my goodness. You have a ton of videos. I did not realize this. 884 videos.
Yeah.
Wow.
I post one every day.
Okay. Wow. I had no idea. I was doing my research and looking up stuff, and I didn't search for you on YouTube. Huh. Cool. Awesome. Well, you've got a busy life and a busy farm. I'm best of luck and congrats on new babies, new goats, your dogs, and your husband and your family, the kids. Sounds like life, it's crazy. It's a roller coaster up and down. That's life. But at least you can nourish that life with healthy quality food, and the Mulberry Tree app can help you connect with how to do that.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, good having you on. And everybody else, we will catch you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks for being on. Bye.